fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
It's Enduro week for Ozicar this week, and that continues tonight, Thursday night on Simspeed TV with the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. 50-minute Enduro here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix course with the Grand Prix chicane as well, just to make things interesting for all of our Skip Barber Series drivers. They're going to go through qualifying, and then we're going to have a 50-minute single driver enduro style event. I'm David Haynes. I'm joined by Jason Fewens, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes with the cameras and on the production. Jason, I think this is a pretty good track for Skip Barbers. In Formula One, people complain that it's too difficult to pass, but for Skip Barbers, that means it's probably just right.
Yeah, smaller cars, smaller wheelbase obviously allows you to go a little bit wider through certain sections of the track, and watching the qualifying tonight, it's been really close times between a lot of the drivers, so a little bit of elevation change throughout the circuit will make things interesting, but of course a lot of heavy braking zones with the skippies also, so there'll be plenty of action, plenty of braking and heavy braking and passing opportunities, so I'm sure over the next 50 minutes we'll get plenty of good racing in.
This is the correct layout of the Nurburgring, just over 5 kilometers, and your key overtaking opportunities, of course. Big braking zone in towards turn 1, big braking zone in towards the chicane at the end of the lap, and then, of course, mind the pit entry just after the NGK chicane, because that is where the drivers are going to need to go at least once during the race due to the fuel limitation. We'll see exactly how that plays out during the race. It's going to be interesting to watch. But then there's some other corners like that arena where these cars can race very closely. The Ford chicane there should be flat out for our drivers up through the Schumacher S, but then you've got that left-right segment with the Vorsteiner curve as well. It just keeps the drivers moving around, using up their tyres, and of course needing to show their talent and their skill. This is the championship standings as we come into tonight's racing. James Chastain leading the way with 388 points, 58 clear of defending champ Alex McKellar, but then it's not far behind him to the likes of his teammate Alex John, Matthew Mites, Sean Doyle, John Schultz, Russell Clark. My goodness, they're all so close, just 18 points from 3rd to 7th there. You can see the remainder of the section of our championship standings there as well, but here's how they're going to start for the enduro race. There's going to be at least one pit stop for everyone. Alex McKellar is on the pole position, just fractionally ahead of Braden Martin, and look how close it is. Alex John also in the 219.3s on the second row of the grid. Champ leader James Chastain starting out of 4th on the second row, then Russell Clark and Tim Cornt completing row number 3. We've got Jeremy Bush, Sean Doyle, Ash Knowles, Matthew Mites, Ben Snell, and Nathan Verney for our top 12 for the standing start.
Yeah, plenty of regular names in the front rows there, as Dennis Hancock and John Schultz will partner up together on row number 7, followed by Brady Baldwin a little bit further back than he'd probably like, and beside him you'll find Tim Harris. Sean McKenzie at a row number 9, and to his right, Jamie Willetts lining up in the car 51. Craig Herman and Peter Wilkinson, the birthday boy, celebrating his birthday today, so he finds himself on row number 10. Clayton Davis and Ira Felberg there on row 11 side by side. John Snell in the car 23 off row 12, and he is in good company with Leon Williams in the 198.
Rest of our field, Jason Gainey, Sean Carey, Peter Bowling, Darren Lesueur, and Simon Dobnett, everyone with a qualifying time for this enduro. Here they are at this beautiful circuit, lined up, ready to dive over the crest, downhill into the very, very sharp turn 1. As you saw, we're looking at 29 drivers for our 50-minute enduro, and they're shortly going to get underway. Ought to be 20, 21, 22 laps or so. probably looking at 21 laps for all of our Skip Barber drivers. Strategy yet to happen, but before that, they need to cleanly make it through turn 1. Away we go with a good launch from the pole sitter, Alex McKellar. Immediately, teammates Braden Martin and James Chastanoff cycling to the left-hand side of the circuit, trying to drop in single file. In fact, Chastanoff looking at trying to get down the inside of Alex John in towards turn 1, and the pack always really closes up through that hairpin turn 1. 2 wide, 3 wide in places, but a good start for your pole sitter. Everyone else behind trying to keep their tyres and their front wing clean.
Yeah, it looks like everybody had a good start. I was keeping a close eye on the background as everybody made it through turn 1, and I didn't see any smoke signals, so that's a good sign. So 50-minute enduro, nobody wants to end it on the first corner on the first lap, so a lot of drivers playing the smart card there, but at the moment, Alex McKellar is out leading the way. He has got Braden Martin tucked in behind him, and Alex John sitting comfortably in third place at the moment.
As always here in Ozicar Skip Barber Series, a lot of teammates mixing it up the front. You've got McKellar leading with his teammate in third. Braden Martin in second right now with his teammate James Chastanoff in fourth. Look to the 2 Milo cars there of Russell Clark and Ben Snell. That looks like 5th and 8th for them, and a good place to be looking as side by side. That looks like Ben Snell is going to try to take that spot away from Sean Doyle. Can they go flat out side by side up through the Schumacher S? They're not going to have to, because Sean Doyle will hold on to that spot.
Yeah, this is where they start to climb back up the hill, and the quick left-right there, change of direction, and then it's another heavy braking zone into a very tight corner up here. So there's a good passing opportunity if you get a good drive out of that bottom corner, but in this particular instance, the Milo car has to sit behind Sean Doyle there at the moment, so long way to go as it is only lap 1. So the tyres are probably just getting up to temperature now, so a lot of the drivers will start to feel a bit more comfortable, but of course they do have a lot of fuel in the tank. So cars will be quite heavy when they jump on the brakes, particularly into this area right here.
Talking the temperature, 32 on the track, pretty moderate, pretty much what we'd expect. Ben Snell, oh my goodness. Looks like he is going to get that position because it's a bigger braking zone into the Grand Prix style chicane that we are using. And, facing the wrong way, that is tough for Dennis Hancock. And he's going to rejoin and try to not be dead last. But the high curbs through that section can produce a lot of trouble. We carry on towards the end of lap 1, start of lap 2. It's still McKellar leading from Martin and John and Chastanoff. For a second there, I thought Alex John was going for the lead, but he will stay in third for the moment. Through the arena they go once again.
Yeah, the top 5's currently sitting in the position as they qualified, but the biggest mover so far is Ben Snell. So he's from position 11 up into the top 10, that's currently sitting 7th. So a good opening lap for him. A couple of other movers throughout the field, but nothing of real notice to speak about at the moment. Main thing is everybody's facing the right direction. They've all got their front and rear wing, and it's a matter of finding a little partner to race with at the moment to make sure you're comfortable those who you're around, and you can get lap after lap under your belt and start wearing down that fuel load that everybody's carrying at the moment.
Yep, Enduro Mindset on show at the moment. Up front, they are all just a caterpillar line, a conga line up the front here. A little bit of space between Chastity in 4th to Russell Clark in 5th that Russell is going to want to close up. At the moment, it's teammates and teammates interleaved up the front, 1st and 3rd, 2nd and 4th. Bit of a spill in the background though for Peter Bowling, and Dennis Hancock and a few others have gone spinning around, contact, damage, and that's not what these guys wanted. Big damage there for Dennis Hancock. Peter Bowling and Simon Jobner trying to rejoin there as well. Only caught the end of that myself, but it was a big incident with several cars involved, marring what was otherwise a pretty clean start to this race.
Yeah, I think Hancock there, as we have a bit of a look now on the VRS replay, got a little bit of So a little bit of a whoopsie, but he is seasoned enough in these vehicles to pull himself together and focus on the job at hand. So currently back in 19th. He's got some work to do, but he's definitely got time up his sleeve to work his way back through the field.
Lap 3 now, a predicted 21. Alex McKellar from the pole, still leading. Ben Snell after his spin, trying to charge back through the field. If he can still pull a good strategy out of the hat, he could still get a good result. We're unsure, is this going to be a 2-stop or a 1-stop race based on the fuel restriction? We just got to wait to see when drivers pit. 25 minutes to go will be the halfway point. Are they pitting before that or after that? That's what we want to see. Top 4 now sorted in team order. And Alex out front. McKellar from John. Braden Martin back into 3rd, but still very close to the lead. And James Chastanoff in 4th, still with this pack as well. They were mighty quick last lap, pulling away from the rest of the field as well. This is where a lot of the battling is. And look at them launching across that curb there.
Yeah, definitely getting a lot of air. I don't think it's going to do too much damage to their front wing, so a lot of drivers seem to be taking advantage of that. They've got to be careful there's no slowdowns there, of course, because that can have a drastic effect on your lap times and your overall race. But at the moment, taking liberties there and riding those curbs whenever they can.
5th place, a lot of action going on here. Big dive from Tim Cornt, not enough to get down the inside of Sean Doyle. Meanwhile, Russell Clark will hold on to 5th. This train that he leads, 1.5 seconds slower than the leaders on the last lap. The top 4 are trying to stretch away, and if they keep battling like this for the 5th place position, they're not going to catch those leaders in a hurry. With the slipstream on a full Grand Prix layout, not a club course, but a full Grand Prix layout, there needs to be some level of respect and collaboration if this pack is going to catch the next up the road.
Yeah, they've definitely got some work to do, and like you said, teamwork and awareness is going to be the big thing here. But at the moment, they do have quite a gap to the cars in front, so they've got some work to do. Say over 3 seconds at the moment. So we watch Russell Clark at the moment. Russell Clark and James Chastanoff there at the moment in this little battle pack. But championship leader Chasty sitting 4th, playing rear gunner to his teammate Braden Martin at the moment. So Braden's shown excellent speed all season, and unfortunately through circumstances not necessarily his own doing, he's had a bit of misfortune. So tonight he'll be very, very keen to secure a big bunch of points and help his team's championship as this season counts down to an end.
Swap at the lead. Alex John now up front, getting ahead of his teammate Alex McKellar. There might have been some level of understanding and collaboration about that, and I think they're going to go for the leapfrog once again. Makes a lot of sense. They are a very tree frog green of car. And is John going to give that one up to his teammate McKellar? Absolutely he is, into the chicane here. So they swap that lead once again. See if it happens any further times if they continue this leapfrog. But if it does, that would say that they're quite tight on fuel if neither of them really wants to lead the whole lap around.
So we cross the start-finish line for complete another lap. We are ticking him down slowly as we reach our way to our 50-minute mark. Big news, I've seen Ben Snell disconnect the session. So he was currently in 18th position. So after an early charge tonight into the top 10, I'm not sure whether he's had another incident or not, but enduro and double points, he's decided to call it a night.
Unfortunate for him, no one in the top 19 now, though, is not in a battle. We've got a battle for the top 4. We've got the Sean Doyle train. We've got the Brady Baldwin train from 9th place. And this is Clayton. That's Brady Baldwin there with John Schultz and Nathan Verne and Ashley Knowles and Jamie Willetts and Timothy Harris and Sean McKenzie all in tow. Then the Clayton Davies train with Craig Kerman, Jeremy Bush and Peter Wilkinson. Everyone from the lead of the race down to 19th is battling someone until you get to poor 20th place with lonely Ira Felberg. But, I think he might catch this next group in front of him in not too long as well if he puts his head down and has some clean laps.
Yeah, if that little group in front of him start to trip over each other, I think Ira is going to find himself on the back of their quick smart and with doing so, he's got a little battle behind him in Leon Williams and John Snell. So if they keep tripping over each other and the cars in front do, that's Ira's best chance of catching up and joining himself on the back of that train.
Side by side with our leaders, teammates, and that looks like Alex John out front. He's got the white to the car, and Martin and Chastanoff are so happy to be in third and fourth the way it looks like at the moment. Many a chance to slipstream up and try to pass, and they refuse to do it.
They're conserving fuel. Of course, if they are doing a one-stop strategy is to try and spit it out, every second that you're sitting stationary in the pits is sacrificial to your lap time. So if they can sit there at the moment, work together and save a bit of fuel, and they just might jump these two top split TV cars come the pit stop time. So I'm sure strategy's playing a part. We see our first car dive in towards the pits. That looks like car number 29, John Schultz, making an early dive. So here's our first one to blink. We'll see who follows.
What is this? A little bit before the 1/3 duration of the race, but he's not alone. It's Russell Clark and John Schultz, teammates, on the lane at the moment. So they are going for an early kind of stop here. Wonder how that could play out for them long run thinking. Your top four, still nothing to separate them. Just 1 second all through this pack here.
Yeah, they've definitely pulled a big gap. It's now out over 3.5, nearly 4 seconds to that group behind. So every lap that ticks by, they are extending that little margin. So they are working very well together. And as we discussed earlier, those locked on lads, Skippies in the very distinctive teal, pink and black, sitting third and fourth at the moment, and they're letting the two green cars out the front do all the hard work, and they're quite happy sitting there playing rear gunner at the moment.
Brady Baldwin came from 15th on the grid, currently running in 7th, head of this train. But he's got Ashley Knowles, Nathan Verney, and then Jamie Willetts right in behind him. Willetts also picking up a couple positions, looking for a couple more, as in front of him, Verney with a very late turn-in, pushes a little wide up over the curb there. No dramas in the end, though.
Yeah, Willetts in the car 51 we're watching at the moment, showing good speed and I won't say a lot of aggression, but a lot of confidence at the moment. So he's taking a few calculated looks here and there, letting those guys in front know that he's there. But he's definitely got the speed to be leading this group, so it'll be interesting to see whether he makes his way through, as we see another attempted pass on that vehicle there of Nathan Verney, I think it is.
Yeah, couldn't get it done there because then Verney had the sort of better run in the inside at the next section. That is super aggressive across the curb, across one and across the other for Alex John. You see on the updated points, the live points as the position changes. Him and his teammate currently sitting second and third, and this where he is right now would keep James Chastanoff in the lead. I'm sure he'd like to stand on the podium though.
Yeah, we've seen Chastity in the races earlier this season be in a position where he could consolidate points, but being the racer that he is, everyone wants to get that little bit of glory and stand on the podium. That's what we're all here for. The competitiveness in us sometimes wins out.
Brady Baldwin for the pit lane for an early-ish stop, but he's following in the footsteps of some other drivers out there like Russell Clark and John Schultz. So this might be the strategy we see. Some of these guys try to pit early, get plenty of clean air, and then if it does become a two-stop race for everyone, they could be in a good position. Like it says, Russell Clark at the moment, lead car to have pitted, but quite deep in the field if this does indeed become a one-stop race for some others. Still looking really aggressive here, Jamie Willetts, but part of it's because Sean McKenzie is trying to come back at him. The charge forward, slightly stunted, and what is it? Yeah, this is a view from Sean McKenzie as Willetts and Tim Harris are battling.
Yeah, Sean McKenzie, the Ozicar race team there at the moment in the red, white and blue, so he's sitting at the back of this little pack, currently up in 12th, so he's up 5 spots from where he qualified. So he's sitting comfortably at the moment, and so far looking like a good result for him, sniffing on the back of the top 10.
No doubt. It's starting to cost them time to the next drivers in front, though, because Vernie and Knowles are getting away from them the more Willetts fights over this 10th place. And they are going side by side in front of him as well. Willetts is going to need to defend this one. No, he's not. He's going to come back onto the racing line and hope to hook into the slipstream of those two drivers in front.
Yeah, we're seeing teammates go side by side through here, and it seems to indicate there's not a lot of communication going on in the Discord channels and the team channels. So we've seen it with the top split guys going side by side into the chicanes there a couple of times earlier in the race, and the two locked-on lads there also fighting for position. So everybody at the moment is thinking about those championship points, and it looks like Willetts has got past those two cars that were in front of him now, so he's working hard to catch. He was working hard, a quick dive into the pits to bring himself out in some clear traffic maybe.
Well, lap 7 of 21 completed. That is a third of the race. So if we're going to see lots of drivers do a two-stop strategy, now is when we might see them. And he is not alone. Sean Doyle, Jamie Willetts, and a few others on the lane this time as well, though quite a few continuing. So those are drivers who definitely look like they are going two stops in this race potentially, but not out front, where it's McKellar back to the lead in front of John. Martin still in third, Chastity still in fourth.
So the other thing to consider is we've been talking about endurance races, and we've seen them happen here in this Skip Barber Series in the past, and the drivers at the moment don't seem to be taking front tyres as they traditionally do in the sprint, in the second sprint race that is a compulsory stop. So Brady Baldwin now, if we scan around and get the other side of that tower, we'll probably see him just do a quick splash and dash, put some fuel in, and remain with those front tyres as they were when he came to the pits.
This is his second stop. He's in 2 laps in a row. Might he have a drive-through penalty or something for speeding in the pit lane? What's the problem for Baldwin? Because he has just pitted twice in as many laps.
Well, speaking from experience, I know if you speed in pit lane here, it's a 40-second penalty. So we'll have to keep a quick look on his stop time there in the pits. But it's either a slowdown from a pit lane penalty, either speeding in pits or an unsafe pit entry. So either of those two could have been the scenario, but that's really compromised his endurance race tonight.
Absolutely, it has. Classic over-under in the battle here between Clayton Davies and Craig Kermond, with the birthday boy right behind them.
Leaders are just diving into the pits, Dave, just out of curiosity, side by side.
McKellar and John are both in the lane, correct, at the same time together. And Martin and Chastanoff have continued and carried on, but you can see Busy in the pit lane behind them with Mites and Tim Cornt coming in. Sean McKenzie's going to carry on. Oh, there is a big split in the field right now. Tim Harris also pitting. A lot of drivers pitting in right now. And even if, for example, Martin and Chastanoff can go 1 lap longer to 10 laps, this is a 21-lap race. This is definitely looking like a 2-stop race for a lot of drivers right now. Service done quite quickly for John and McKellar. They're going to rejoin. Relative to some of the drivers who've already stopped, are they going to be ahead of Russell Clark? Yes, I think so. And they'll also, by virtue of having pitted later, have more fuel on board right now than Clark does.
So we did speak about it a little bit earlier on. This just might be the strategy that the locked-on guys in Braden Martin and James Chastanoff were hoping to pull off. So they were sitting there in third and fourth with an opportunity to take the lead, but they let those top split green cars do all the hard work as we spoke about. So it'll be interesting to see if they pit this next lap, because if they don't, and it is a 21-lap race, they just may be able to stretch it out and make it a single stopper, and let strategy give them that upper hand as the checkered flag falls. So just another curveball, something else to watch as we keep an eye on these cars as they make their way around to the back half of the lap now.
Just 7 cars of 29 starters haven't stopped at the moment, and that includes these two, Braden Martin and James Chastanoff. And I tell you what, it looks like they're pushing a lot harder now than we've seen every other lap from the beginning, throwing the car around, trying to make this in-lap as quick and as perfect as they possibly can, trying to maybe jump the teammates of John and McKellar. Assuming we're going to see them pit in this time. I get the feeling from the body language and throwing the car around that that's what's happening, and the answer is yes. They are going to pit, bringing to an end a 9-lap stint. Still 12 more to go after this, looking like a 2-stop race.
Yeah, as you're saying, both of those guys there were absolutely pushing as hard as they could, because the overcut here doesn't tend to work as well. I think we'll find these top split guys may just pull themselves a little bit of a gap. So when these guys pitted a lap or so ago, the locked on lads' cars were right on their tail, and I'm expecting them as they come out of the pits after their stop, these two green cars may just find themselves a little bit of a buffer.
Well, we're going to see. I think Darren Lesueur might have run out of fuel on his way to the pit lane. He's tried to do 9 laps, and he's in now, but he was getting passed by a lot of people on the way around. He will make it to pit lane, and side-by-side vision at speed for the top split TV cars. They're going to go through into the lead. Bear in mind, though, they're currently carrying a lap less fuel than the two locked-on iRacing guys, rejoining in 3rd and 4th. Tell you what, only just. Russell Clark is on the tail of James Chastanoff, about a second longer stop than Braden Martin, and Chasty's no longer in the slipstream of his teammate, and he might fall under attack.
Yeah, so the overcut not working there for those for Chastity and Martin there at the moment, but the advantage that they have, as you just mentioned, is they've got a lap extra fuel in their car at the moment, so hopefully their next stop, they have a little bit of shorter stop, and then they'll be able to regain that time that they potentially lost in the pit. So it's definitely not over yet. We've got a long way to go in this endurance race, and plenty more action still to come.
So longest stint of anyone from that opening section of the race, 9 laps from Martin, Chastanoff, Nathan Verney, Sean McKenzie, etc. That would mean that 9 to go would sort of be the golden window as well for second stops where they run at the moment. There's the live points. James Chastanoff with a pretty decent lead would continue to hold on to it, though it is so close from 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th there as well. Some of those positions and bragging rights.
So we're watching Doyle and Mites currently sitting in 6th and 7th, so separated by a mere 3/10 at the moment. So a good little battle between these guys here at the moment. Car 74, car 25. So as you mentioned, everybody's made their stop. Everybody should have tyre temperature up to their premium, whether the tyres are actually comfortable. So we are racing for position here as the cars hop the curb there, make a short work of the concrete, and make their way around to complete another lap.
Got to thread the needle just right through that final chicane there with the shape of the curbs. This car seems to handle it pretty well, but there is a fast line and an optimal line, and you want to be on it. More space up front. McKellar almost clear of his teammate Alex John. Braden Martin has closed the gap, I think, to second. Russell Clark still right with Chastanoff, and then Mites and Doyle battling. So a lot of 2-car battles up the front, except for Alex McKellar starting to maybe streak away.
Yeah, some mid-race performance there from Alex McKellar, so he's making the most of the opportunity at the moment, and definitely if Alex John there in second and Braden Martin starts arguing over who's going to lead that little group, that's just going to play into Alex McKellar's hands. So Alex, of course, thinking about the championship. He is our defending champion from last season, sitting second at the moment, so he's proven to be a race winner and smart enough to bag points when it counts, so I'm sure he hasn't conceded this championship just yet. He'd love to win it back to back.
Anything can happen right up until the final race. You don't want a DNF at any stage. That'll be on James Chastanoff's mind. I think he told us that last week, and every time he goes to try to make a pass, he weighs up the risk a little more carefully than than anyone else would if it was a single event or they weren't in that championship hunt with a championship lead. So Matthew Mites with the slipstream of Sean Doyle, not trying to attack just yet. But look at that graphic, and what a great graphic it is. The way they run right now, tied on points if this is how they finished. If Mites gets ahead of Doyle, then he'd be clear, and Doyle would drop back. So this is a solid little battle championship-wise here as well. Mites, again, out of the throttle, coasting it into the corners though.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if they're actually aware that they're so close, or they're probably aware, but actually, as they sit on the track, that they're so close in the championship. So it'll be interesting to see just how this little battle unfolds, because Sean Doyle, with his fan base here on Simspeed TV, is keen for a good result, currently sitting in P6. So he is the best of the rest at the moment. The front five are well and truly out there, probably six seconds clear of this little battle happening. Big dive under brakes.
Oh, and he sent it in, and the thing's super sideways as it gets towards the apex. Drops over that crest at the apex, but it's looking like job done. Not quite. That's the point of the arena, is the other driver can fight back around the outside should they wish. This is bringing Tim Cornt and John Schultz into the picture as well while these two continue to battle. Sean Doyle is fought back for 6th place, but in doing so, he's won the battle, but he's making it a bigger war as Cornt and Schultz behind close up. The very lead of the race, that lead for McKellar has evaporated. He's had a pretty shocking lap somewhere, and Alex John to the lead, Braden Martin into second, McKellar back to third, still 2 seconds from this trio to James Chasnoff and Russell Clark behind, but it's gone from one driver out front to 3 at the lead pack again.
Yeah, so just as we think things are starting to settle down at the mid-race point, curveball gets thrown. I think just looking back at my replay, that might have happened at turn 1. He might have outbraked himself and just lost all that time. So very, very important here to make sure that you're consistent with your lap times. As I think we've said earlier on, it is double points being an enduro, so critical that you make the most of tonight's results, and you're there at the drop of the flag when Barney goes absolutely nuts waving that checkers.
You never doubt Barney's commitment to the cause. No matter how exciting the finish, he is there with 100% energy. Like matter floating through the universe that eventually clumped together and made planets. You throw a bunch of Skip Barbers at a track, and eventually they group up into these battle packs. No matter what splits them up, suddenly 3 cars again for the lead, 4 cars here for 6th place behind Sean Doyle as Cornt and Schultz have closed in. We had that pit stop phase. It spread the field out very evenly, and now they are clumping once again. You can see the 2-car battle in front. You can see 2 teammates behind. Anytime you get a good long shot down the straights, you see the kind of groups and packs that these Skip Barbers form up into in an endurance race like this.
Yeah, good clean racing is what these skippies and these open wheelers encourage, and that's what we're seeing here tonight. So a little bit of incident in the early laps, but everybody's settled down now. Big dive into the pits with car number 17, that looks like. So Craig Kerman making another pit stop. So could this potentially be his last pit stop?
He'd be hoping so. It's 9 laps to go. He's going to need a little bit of fuel save, maybe some slipstreaming buddies if he's going to make it from here. But it would be possible. Would have also been possible for these leaders to have stopped this lap and made it home. Speaking of the leaders, a little bit of a switcheroo here. The Top Split TV green machines back leading 1 and 2. But I think Chastity and Russell Clark have pulled them in a little bit, closed up that gap ever so slightly.
Yeah, as they make their way back up from the low point of the circuit, climbing back up the hill at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4 on our screen. That's the battle for 6, 7, 8, 9. So separated by just over 0.3 of a second. So one little hiccup here and you could very easily find yourself back further down the race order.
Exactly, and I get the feeling pit entry could get busy at the end of this lap. 8 to go as they come to pit entry this time for the leaders. Some of them who are thinking, no, I'm not doing well in this pack, I can cover off my pit stop now, might just do it. Here's Jamie Willetts, Ashley Knowles, Tim Harris, and Knowles taking a look down the inside. Not going to make that one work. Drops back into the slipstream. Up front, Doyle, Mites, Cornt, and Schultz close. And what are the top 5 doing?
All diving into the pits. So we are going to have a new leader for the first time as Sean Doyle leads this group round to complete what appears to be lap number 13, to jump into lap 14. So top split guys, and the Milo car there of Russell Clark along with Braden Martin, James Chasnoff, all taking the opportunity now to make their final pit stop as they sequence into the pit lanes single file.
So they are looking like 8 to go for the leaders from here. Doyle and Mites and Cornt have stayed out, but from behind them, John Schultz dived into pit lane to do the same thing as his teammate Russell Clark. Should be a quicker final stop here for Martin and Chastanov, but it's not. Alex McKellar's got them covered. So as they race off pit lane, it is McKellar from Alex John, from Braden Martin. Chastanov has dropped back off the pit lane for a second time. Look how much gap there is between these three, who are going to become the lead 3, and then Chasty, Russell Clark, Peter Wilkinson there, happy birthday, hasn't made his final stop just yet.
So we were watching closely as Braden Martin, I think it was Alex John there, going out of the pit side by side. Alex McKellar. No, it was Alex John. So they were side by side, and it was going to be a case of who had the biggest kahunas going into turn 1, and in this case Braden Martin decided to back out of it. So race isn't over yet. He decided to live to fight another day, but they were literally side by side as they crossed that cone pit exit line. So good stop from Braden Martin, and he's managed to stick with these front 2, and as you said, but James Chastanoff seems to be potentially the big loser there, because he finds himself out in the middle of nowhere, 3.5 seconds back off the pace.
Yeah, he might be on the radio to Braden Martin saying, throw the filthiest dive bombs you possibly can. Every which way, make him defend, cost them time, and if you can just cost them a second a lap, 2-3 seconds in a row. I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to do it, but that's what you form a team for. Doyle going for pit lane. Matthew Mites will continue into the temporary race lead. Tim Cornt was right behind them. I didn't catch what he was doing. This is the net race lead that will eventually cycle back through to the front. McKellar from John, from Braden Martin at the moment, and it was only Sean Doyle that pitted. Mites and Cornt have carried on.
Yeah, 2 teammates there, so they're working together, and they just obviously got enough fuel to keep going and drag this middle section of the race out a little bit further than everybody else. Of course, that means their last stint is going to be a shorter one, so a quick splash of fuel, and they will be heading out of the pits, and I would think they'll probably come out around 10-11 seconds behind the leading group, but nonetheless, a bit of TV time for the guys there out front, so I'm sure Sean Doyle, sorry, not Sean Doyle, I've lost my train of thought. Matthew Mites leading the way at the moment in car number 25.
Glad you found it. So Doyle out of the pits, right in front of John Schultz, who pitted a lap ago, and the battle resumes. 11th place at the moment, but that could easily be over 5th place by the time everyone makes their final stop. Gosh, this was a 50-minute race, and somehow there's only 15 left to go. Think 6 more potentially in this. It's either 50 minutes or 21 laps, a kind of a whichever comes first scenario, and I think we are going to get that full 21.
We watch the cars again make their way up through this back part of the circuit. Everybody keeping it within the parameters of the white lines at the moment before they make their way back down this little hill into the heavy braking zone and potentially the last chicane of this lap, where we've seen these Skip Barbers get real aggressive with the curbs as they jump their way quick left, quick right, and we are expecting to see these leading 2 dive into the pit lane as they exit this second part of the chicane.
They might do. They might have fuel to go another. This is only to the end of 7 laps in the stint, but they are going to cover off what everyone else around them is doing, fuel it up, and bring it home from here. At the net lead, Alex John in front of Alex McKellar. Braden Martin getting in there as well. He's got his elbows out now in the middle of the top split sandwich. And it'll box McKellar backwards a little bit, but no dramas at all for Alex John. Nathan Verney on pit entry, no. Just Mites and Cornt. So it's not the lead battle just yet, but it will be.
Well, this little cat being Braden Martin amongst the pigeons being the top split guys is exactly what James Chastanoff needs. He finds himself at the moment a little bit off the pace compared to these guys, so he's got a bit of work to do as the last 13.5 minutes countdown. So I wouldn't expect him to be written out of the picture yet as we have a quick look at him going through turn number 1. He's got no pressure from behind in the form of Russell Clark, so he has to keep his eyes ahead, focus on the job at hand, and hopefully Braden Martin can make a nuisance of himself and make this a 4-way battle going into the dying laps.
Schultz down the inside of Sean Doyle, but you need to get all the way down the inside because then the next corner goes left and Doyle holds on to it. Now Schultz would look to get down the inside again. Matthew Mites has just come out from his final pit stop ahead of Doyle and Schultz, and also ahead of Clayton Davies, who hasn't made his second stop.
Great pictures captured here as you can see the car darting across in the background there. So a lot of crisscross happening here, and where the track tends to fold back on itself. So we might be watching what's happening in the foreground, but we're also keeping an eye on what's happening in the background. There's plenty of action all around the track at the moment, lots of little battle packs that we've been talking about. So the leaders at the moment, as we're watching them here make their way through, well, technically they're not the leaders. They are on track as they cross the finish line at the end of this lap. That'll confirm their status in the top 3 positions.
Yep, on the left-hand side of your screen, Nathan Verney in the lead, owes us a second stop soon. On the right-hand side, it's Alex John, Alex McKellar, Braden Martin. McKellar just got back in front of Martin, so Cat's still slightly less amongst the pigeons than Chastanoff would like. Verney continues for one more, and if he really tried, there could still be 2 more in that, but he hasn't had much of a slipstream lately, so probably the final lap on the stint here for Verney before he has to pit. And I don't blame him for staying out. Look at all that clean air he's got. Oh, not clean tyres though. Brady Baldwin as he comes back onto the track.
Yeah, great avoidance there in the green and yellow car. That might have been, I don't know who that was. But, Brady obviously getting a little bit sideways there and doing his best to try and get off the racing line, but as a result found himself smack bang in the way where he didn't want to be. So anyway, they're all still going and they're still circulating, and like I said, good avoidance there by the drivers here in the Skippy Series.
Looked like someone who takes their highlights to Stradbroke Island for a second there, leaving some lines in the sand. Verney out front still, but the real battle here, McKellar, John and Martin. And you can just see James Chastanoff, championship leader, back there.
Made up some ground.
It comes and goes. I honestly think he was kind of within 3 seconds. Now he's sort of 3.5, almost closer to 4 back there. Still a lot of racing to happen. It'll be 4 more laps to go at the start-finish line, which is still a while away from where they are right now, coming uphill through the Schumacher S. Pretty well flat out for a Skippy, you'd think. Here goes Martin. He's looking for at least one top split scalp, and that means going down the inside of Alex John, but not aggressively enough, not deep enough on the brakes, and he'll stay in third, try to cross back underneath for the exit here. Can he cause another headache at the chicane?
Yeah, well, like we spoke about, this is doing James Chastanoff in fourth, a world of good at the moment. So Braden Martin just being like a little terrier nipping at the heels of these vehicles in front. So top split guys will be watching their mirrors because Braden Martin is making every effort to be a hindrance. which is what he's out there to do. Do a good job and get a good result. But we see Nathan Verney now dive into the pit, so our race leader going to sacrifice the lead on lap 17 now. And as the cards fall back into place, we see Alex John, Alex McKellar and Braden Martin resume 1, 2, 3.
So everyone in the field has made their 2 stops now. It's 9 minutes to go. Alex John is then going to try to take the lead away from Alex McKellar. Braden Martin will stay in 3rd. So this is your top 3. Then Chastanoff, Russell Clark, Tim Court and Matthew Mites are still battling over what is now 6th. So there's plenty of battles. Not only here, 3 cars for the lead, but also other places in the top 10. And James Chastanoff, who would like to catch these top 3. But as you've seen from the live points graphic, 4th place, anything in the top 5 or even indeed anything in the top 10 still keeps James Chastanoff with a healthy championship lead. As they run right now, would put Alex McKellar to 2nd, and I think Alex John to 3rd.
Yeah, as we spoke about at the start of the broadcast, the battle there throughout the championship is very, very tight, particularly in that top 10. So whether it's particular, and again tonight being double points, every single position you gain is going to be beneficial for your championship run home. So we've only got one more round after this series, so it's the end of our short six stint European vacation. But as you said before, David, plenty more racing to happen before we crown ourselves a champion.
Some live points still so close in the middle, a tie between Russell Clark and Sean Doyle, the way they run at the moment. That could be interesting right at the end. And here is Sean Doyle in the middle of the pack. John Schultz behind him, Nathan Verney in front. We ride on board with Schultz. Oh, aggressive line, kicking up some dust on the entry, on the middle and on the exit for Doyle. And tell you what, Schultz left a couple stones turned in his path through the corner there as well. Right up in the slipstream. Big dive from Doyle down the inside at the very tight chicane. He's on the brakes earlier and he doesn't take the spot away. And if anything, Schultz is now going to look down the inside of the final hairpin. Can't do it. 3 of them still battling here. This is 8th, 9th and 10th.
So we watch them make their way around onto the front straight, but all the action at the moment sitting up front with 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So not a lot has changed. We've still got Braden Martin sitting in 3rd as we watch this little battle pack at the moment a little bit further back dive down into turn 1 to the most aggressive potential braking point and where the drivers find themselves hardest on the brakes around this circuit. So plenty of heat getting into those brakes. A little bit of contact there.
They do just go wheel rim to wheel rim, bit of contact, shots around the outside. Gets pushed a little further wide, no damage done to either car. That's the safest contact I think you'll ever see wheel to wheel between some skippies.
Yeah, Nathan Verney, they're just getting a little bit washed wide on the exit of that corner, and of course the Milo car there feeling the side benefit and getting pushed off track, but they've managed to sort themselves out. They're back in tow again, but what it has done is given a little bit of breathing room to Sean Doyle.
Sure has, just a little bit up front here. Thinking about swapping spots again, the teammates at the lead, and Martin not close enough to steal one away from them to snip his way forward. Time running out for this race, and if Martin wants to win, he's got a really tough task against some teammates. For McKellar and John, they've worked together so nicely so far. Who has seniority in the team to ask for that win, or are they going to have to fight it out without team orders later on? Martin down the inside, parks it right in front in the chicane. He goes 2nd in front of Alex John.
Yeah, Braden doesn't care who's got team orders. He's out there for a win. So he's made his way back up into 2nd. So he's been there before and found himself back into 3rd. But at the moment, we have less than 5 minutes to go. So the laps are counting down. and this is a time where it's going to make or break your race. So at the moment, McKellar leading us across the line for another lap complete, but Braden Martin sitting in a top split sandwich at the moment. See a few sparks bounce off the back of the car as the brakes compress under load. Sitting at the moment, first Alex McKellar, second Braden Martin, and car 77 in third of Alex John.
8th place is looking for 3 wide again. They nearly did it previous times. Slotting the gap down the middle goes Nathan Verney to get ahead of Sean Doyle. Schultz is going to try to follow through there as well. Verney's done the move very cleanly and left him side by side behind. Schultz will get hung out wide. Now Doyle in the middle there, getting spicy once again with 2 laps to go for these guys. 2 laps to go for the leaders. Make or break. Everyone's looking at their gauges, hoping they got fuel to get to the end and hoping they got fuel to fight all the way to the end. I think that's what we're starting to see at the moment.
Yeah, strategy's out the window at the moment. They've played their cards and they are left to deal with what's laying around. So no tyre strategies, no fuel strategies, unless you've done yourself short, which I don't think these guys have. They've all had very similar pit stop times and stationary times in their pit bay, so they should be right to get themselves home. But, really,
Schumacher S. It was a good run for Braden Martin. McKellar parked it for the inside at the next corner. It brought their teammate Alex John into the fray, and Martin will hold on to second, but McKellar just positioning himself to try to leave Braden Martin a little bit exposed. It is Schoolyard Bullies 2 versus 1 in this battle here. Martin's going to send Alex John all the way around if they're going to go for the inside. Nearly 3 wide they go, and now Martin's on the attack looking for the lead. 2 wide through the tightest chicane on the circuit. McKellar holds on to the lead. Bad exit for Braden Martin. John's looking down the inside of the final corner of the hairpin. Very tentative there. Martin could still get a good run off the exit here, but it's McKellar's prerogative where he goes, who he gives the slipstream to, and he's picking his teammate up to try to drag him up into second. White flag for them this time. 1 more tour in this Aussie car enduro, and we will find out who the winner from this pack of 3 could be. They keep fighting like hell. Chasnoff will pick up another couple seconds on them.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having your teammate in that battle pack. So the 2 top split guys, they're working side by side, so it gave him the benefit of the draft down the straight. But Braden Martin, being the aggressive bulldog that he is, fighting himself back in second position at the moment, so he is not throwing in the towel just yet. We've got just over half a lap to go, and this is going to come right down to the wire.
Absolutely. As Martin tries to fight, though, he does find himself out and on, but an Alex McKellar 7/10 away in the lead. I think Martin in this battle could hold on a second. He can grab it and hold that, but to get the lead as well might be tough. They're still fighting hard in this pack of 3. Doyle into 10th, Schultz into 9th, and Nathan Verney still holding on to 8th, and he's almost getting away from these 2. Schultz and Doyle continue to battle like they did a lap ago.
Watch the 3 here further back in the pack, but all the action is up the front for the lead. So we are into the final second to last sector at the moment, and we have a good run on the outside here, but is Braden Martin going to have the speed and the racing line to hold it?
He's trying to prevent a top split TV 1-2 when he was under so much pressure up the hill there, but just managed to stop Alex John getting down the inside. Now, he's actually got a pretty good run at McKellar. McKellar going middle of the road, down the back straight towards the last big braking zone of the lap at the tight Grand Prix chicane. He holds right-hand side of the circuit. Does Martin have enough speed? Is he going to Hail Mary for the win? He's going to look. He's going to go down the inside for the lead in the final sector. He's in too hot, and he might have shortcut the chicane from 3rd, 3 wide. Alex John will come down the inside for the final corner. He could still take the win here. Is there a slowdown for Martin? The teammates at Top Split TV are back. 1-2, and Alex John is going to take the win at the Nurburgring Grand Prix track in the Ozicar Skip Barber Series Enduro. Braden Martin gambled it all. He lost. He still gets a podium. Chasnoff keeps his championship lead with 4th place. Russell Clark not bad in 5th, and the battle is raging all the way to the end for Verney, Doyle, and Schultz, but I think Doyle managed to hold on to 9th.
Yeah, I think Braden Martin might have got himself a slowdown there. He actually finished 1.7 behind our race winner, Alex John, tonight, as we watched John Schultz make his way across the line in this little battle of three. So that'll be the end of their enduro tonight. Good little result for those guys. The car's still seen circulating around the course at the moment, so plenty more happening. We're watching Brady Baldwin as he makes his way back up the hill for the last couple of sectors. Quick left right before they make their run downhill into that last chicane. So not much action happening here in terms of change of position at the moment, but they are still fighting and pushing as hard as they can until they get that checkered flag wave, because you just never know what's going to happen in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Good, healthy grid of Skip Barbers took the start of this race, and it looks like 27 of 29 are going to see the checkered flag after 50 minutes of the Nurburgring Grand Prix track. Some of the last ones out there, who are we waiting on? John Snell, Ashley Knowles potentially, and what was it? 3 stops for Brady Baldwin in that one. Strategy not doing what he wanted. Could have been in the top 10, but might have picked up a penalty somewhere or made a mistake with the fueling, not sure.
We watched car number 23 make his way across the line, John Snell, and he is followed by Ashley Knowles there, position 24. So that just about might see the last of them. There might be a couple still circulating out there on the track, but that just about wraps us up here for tonight as far as on-track action goes.
Now everyone's finished. Let's look at the results. Alex John from third on the final lap to take the win, ahead of his teammate Alex McKellar and ahead of a very brave but ultimately unsuccessful Braden Martin. Risked it all, wanted it all, still finishes on the podium. Chastanoff, not sure we're going to get to speak to him tonight, but he wouldn't be disappointed. He still has a nearly 50-point championship lead, continuing to just bag the points race after race. Russell Clark started in 5th, finishes 5th. Matthew Mites comes from 10th on the grid to grab 6th ahead of his teammates in Tim Cornt and Nathan Verney. John Schultz in 9th, and Sean Doyle didn't have a boring race, and he gets the last spot in the top 10.
Yeah, good result there by Sean. Tim Harris, another good result in P11 tonight, followed across the line by Jeremy Bush. Then it was a little bit of a gap back to Sean McKenzie in the Ozicar Racing Team vehicle in number 6. Jamie Willetts, we saw a fair bit of TV time with him throughout the race. He was in P14 at the end of the night. Good result for the birthday boy. He'll be able to celebrate with some cake tonight. Car 268, Peter Wilkinson in P15. Craig Kerman and Clayton Davis there, just over a minute off the pace. Ira Felberg in P18. And Brady Baldwin, after 3 stops, found himself in P19. Darren Lasue was car number 20 to cross the line tonight.
Bringing the field home, Leon Williams, Jason Gainey, John Snell, Ash Knowles, and Sean Carey, last car on the lead lap. Simon Dobner, 1 lap down. Dennis Hancock, 4 laps down. Ben Snell and Peter Bowling, retirements from our 29-car starting grid. Good race, good strategy, cracking battle up the lead on the final lap. We just didn't know how it was going to go. We have the privilege of speaking to some of those podium getters now, starting with 3rd place, Braden Martin. Braden, welcome to the commentary box. Last sector, you were going to die wandering.
No, well, no championship to worry about, as you can very much tell this season, so thought I'd give it everything, but just overcooked a little bit. Bit disappointed, to be honest, but probably my best chance for a win ever, so yeah, it's all good. It's nice to be back in here.
It means you saw the checkered flag, but 2 stops in this race, a lot of time spent with your teammate James Chastanoff, but separated after that second pit stop. How did that change the dynamic of how you were racing once it was, David against Goliath there with your outnumbered up the front?
Yeah, it honestly didn't change it too much for me. It was more just I didn't have the smarts to figure out how to get in between the 2 Alexes. Like I was sort of thinking that whole last stint, I really need to be in between them to have a chance of winning, because I noticed very quickly that whenever they would overtake each other, it just took up the whole track and there was no room for me to get through. So it was just about trying to work out how I was going to get in between them both, and set up that run to the chicane, which I did really, really well, but just couldn't execute the finish. So yeah.
Well, it is the tight version of the chicane. Tough to take the shallow entry into there and still be able to carry any kind of speed. Was that your was that your undoing? Had you even tried outbraking someone down the inside there many times before?
I hadn't done it with another car next to me, but I'd done it a few times in practice, just taking that shallower line. It was more, I wasn't, if I got the braking right, I think I would have been fine, because I would have had a lot slower speed on the apex, obviously, and I think it would have been pretty tough to get a run, out for Alex to get a run out of that chicane with my car in the way. And I think he also said he might have been having some fuel issues maybe, so you might be able to chat to him about that. So it might have been okay, but doesn't really matter when you can't get the braking zone right. It comes unstuck.
Well, a lot of locked on boys in this series. You grab the best results of all of them today, so that means the responsibility falls on your shoulders to do the shout outs on behalf of yourself and the team.
Yeah, just thank you guys for running an awesome broadcast as always. Ira for putting on the league. I think we're coming up to some 100 races next week, which is pretty amazing when you think about this starting only just last year. Thanks to the Locked On boys and the Locked On iRacing podcast. Come check that out. Have a listen, get the debrief from all this races, and the sponsors, Brewster, .coffee, CD Cinematography, 24/7 Race Control, and raceclub.net. Thanks for jumping on board. Go the power.
You just had to do that, and I'll bite my tongue and be professional. But yeah, thank you for that podcast, by the way, because I love that the news podcast means that iRacing will announce something the day after. Keep doing it so we keep getting more awesome content that Ira can bring into this league.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to be that way, doesn't it? Thanks, boys. Have a good night.
Third place getter tonight, Braden Martin. So it's taken 5 weeks for us to get him into the commentary booth, but of course tonight, finding himself on the third step of the podium in a fantastic drive, and of course bringing us all that action in those dying sections of the lap. We bring second place getter tonight, Alex McKellar, joins us in the commentary box. Alex, that was an ending that you probably didn't have scripted, but it worked out well for the team nonetheless.
Yeah, mate, all about the team tonight. Really pleased AJ got the win. It was eventful, and we tried to throw it away a couple of times between us. So, look, that hopefully gives us a leg up in the championship from the team's perspective. I think James had the golden season this season, and he's going to be hard to touch, if at all, if he hasn't already got it in the bag. So we're fighting for teams. I think we got the run tonight, and really pleased about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this championship isn't over, because we've seen in the past, and we saw a couple of drivers drop out earlier on tonight. So it isn't over until the checkered flag has fallen. But the real battle, as far as points goes, is happening in the teams championship. So the consistency that you guys have shown in the top split skippies this season has been second to none. A little bit of misfortune from Braden throughout the season has given you guys that opportunity to fight for that number one position as far as teams are concerned. So we've got one more round after this with 2 sprint races. So there are plenty of points up for grabs. So after tonight's race, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to getting stuck into that and focusing on what's to come next week.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Although, the points difference is so interesting, it's a testament to the season James had. He's nearly beat us on his own, because Braden's had some tough luck, although a good result tonight. Almost got his first win. He was right in there, and so hopefully it's not too far away from him, but not until we've won the teams championship, eh? So, but anyway, looking forward to the last round and wrapping it up.
Well, the old adage is it's not over till the fat lady's sung, and so she's warming up her vocal pipes, but next week we will be talking to hopefully yourself and Alex again next week as far as teams go, because next week is where it all counts, I guess. That's what we've been working to for the last 6 weeks. So would you like to do any shout-outs or anything before we take over to our race winner tonight?
Yeah, great. Big shout-out to AJ, of course, my teammate, the other Alex, and to Ira for putting on the series, to Locked On Boys for always being great competition, and as are the rest of the field, honestly. It's a great night out. Also, I just wanted to say a big shout out to Prestige Trophies. I got a trophy in the post yesterday for last season. Looks beautiful up on the mantelpiece. Pride of place. And they're great sponsors of the series. So thanks to them, and as always, like I said, to Ira for running the championship, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
Beautiful work, Alex. So obviously that little bit of silverware is going straight to the pool room, and if you haven't got a pool room, you better make one. So very proud of the trophies there, and they're, of course, season sponsors, and they have been part of the Ozicar season, not just as far as Skippies are concerned, but the Formula Vs as well. So long-time supporters of the series. So great to see them supporting all our drivers. So Dave, I'll throw over to you. We're going to have a chat to our race winner tonight, Alex John.
Yeah, exactly. Only one man left to speak to, and came from third to first in the final sector. Alex Stephen Bradbury John, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It was. I thought it was done and dusted there, and it was going to be between the Alex and Braden, but luckily managed to pull off a bit of a sneak victory.
Well, at a certain point, you've got to see that Braden Martin is desperate for a result. Your teammate didn't really want to get tangled up in it, so there was going to be something on the table, and you just positioned yourself perfectly to take it 3 wide and steal a win away.
Yeah, well, for all of us, I guess it's the Drivers' Championship is sort of over, so there was a little bit less to lose for us all, and yeah, you know that Braden's got to have a go on that last lap, and I think 2 or 3 laps before the end, they went too wide, and it sort of ended up in a similar situation. So once I got halfway up the straight, and I thought, yeah, if they go too wide, there's half a chance to get a good run and see what happens, and that's eventuated.
Fuel situation today, everyone went for 2 stops. Looked like there was some idea of saving in the early goings, and then it sort of evaporated later on. How did you approach the strategy? How did it change throughout the race?
Strategy, first stint was to just have a bit of fun and do a bit of racing. We wanted to sort of keep it a bit interesting and mix it up at the front. And when we came out a couple of seconds ahead, we knew we should actually put our heads down and try. And we both made stupid mistakes at the chicane, one lap after the other, and got slowdowns and let Braden back in. But from then on, it was a little bit more serious and tried to keep that trio together and not drag anyone else in the pack back up. And gloves off from about 3 laps to go.
2 versus 1 in the lead pack in that final stint there. Much communication back and forth between yourself and the other Alex about how you could box out Braden, how you could work together, or what you could do?
It's nearly instinctive now, to be honest, because we've been doing this for a little while now, and when you're in that position, it's basically which side do you want the draft on, and you get over there, get next to whoever you're trying to pass, and get that draft assist from your teammate. So it absolutely helps to have somebody up there, and we were sort of lucky. I'm not sure what happened with Chastity through the stops, but he seemed to have a couple of bad ones. But either way, it was great fun with Braden and great driving from Braden as well, because he was right up there, right up until the last corner.
McKellar's got his eyes on that teams championship. What are you guys going to have to do in the final round to make sure you lock that one away for Top Split TV?
Oh yeah, we're really going to need a good round. I think we must be nearly dead even, or very, very close to, with the locked on guys. So I'm not sure. I think just take each race as it comes, see how we go in the first one, and if we're even close, and I don't know. I don't think you can think about it too much, because then there's just creep in. So like tonight, I think it would just go for it and see what happens.
Well, you're an Enduro winner for a Top Split TV 1-2 tonight at the Nurburgring. That's a good haul of points for you. That is a good accolade for yourself. Who are you going to thank?
Oh, look, thanks to my teammates in there in the green machines. That was really good fun racing tonight. Good banter. Thanks to Braden as well. Great racing. It's fantastic that we've made it through a whole race and not managed to clean each other up, which is great. And thanks to you guys putting on the broadcast and for the people putting on the series.
Good to chat with you. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Jason, that is just about everything from the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit in this Ozicar Skip Barber Series Enduro. You got any closing thoughts about the racing, the strategy, and the results today?
No, I think Alex just nailed it on the head. You can't sort of think too hard about it going into next week, because any strategy that you do have is very likely to go out the window. We do have a back to our sprint format next week, so we do have a short race followed by a slightly longer one with pit stops will take effect. So it's really just a matter of see how the cards fall on the night, but it will be interesting because the team's championship is the one that's really going to come down to the wire next week. It's Braden Martin has another result like he did tonight. I think Locked On lads just might get across the line, which will be a great result for them, but the expertise and the communication between the top split TV guys there tonight was second to none. So they will be fighting for tooth and nail next week. And as they say in the classics, it's not over till the fat lady sings.
No doubt. I'm going to be practicing my Flemish Dutch pronunciation between now and next week, because we are going to Circuit Zolder to decide this championship in Ozicar Skip Barber Series. A lot of bochts around that track, but it can produce some interesting racing from these ladder level open wheelers. Again, like we've seen today, some smooth and flowing corners, but also some tight technical chicanes around there. It will be good viewing, so make sure you're subscribed here to Simspeed TV on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, and following us on Twitter as well. I've been David Haynes. Jason Fewens with me, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes on the cameras and production. That was an awesome race of Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Can't wait to do it all again next week. And like they said, thank you to series supporters Simfinity, Locked On iRacing Podcast, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and their website prestigetrophy.com.au. 24/7 Race Control as well, series sponsor of Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. We'll see you next Wednesday night for Formula V, and a week from now, Thursday night on Simspeed TV, for the season finale, the championship deciding Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series race at Zolder. See you then.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything else. Both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?